All right, welcome to the Chazz Palminteri Show. It's Monday, and it's 11 o'clock. And I got a great guest for you today. Really, this guy is a classic. He's a legend. And before I tell you who he is, don't forget, subscribe, hit that like button. If you want to come and see the original one-man show, go to chazzpalminteri.net. And I will be at a city near you doing the Broadway show. I'm doing it all over the country. Go to my restaurants, check it out. I got one of the top Italian restaurants in Manhattan and in Westchester, 30 West 46th Street and 265 Main Street, Chazz Palminteri's. Okay, I got a guy here that you're going to know him right away when you see him. All I can say is, I'm going to say, you know when they see Bronx Tale, they say, Naives can't leave. And they say things like, throw him in the bathroom. Well, when you see this guy, you say, sweep the leg. Sweep the leg. The legendary actor. You know, he's been in 100 movies, but obviously one of the great ones is The Karate Kid. Martin Kove. Marty.
Thank you.
How are you, man?
I'm good, man.
Okay, it's just so great to have you. My son is really pissed off. He's in L.A. He goes, no way are you having him here. He's coming to the house. I said, no, we're going to do it on the roof. Of course he's coming to the house. He goes, Dad, how could you do this to me? I said, it's the only time I can get him. He's here now, but he's a big, martial arts guy and everything. But do people say that to you? Sweep the leg, Marty?
All the time. Sweep the leg and no mercy. It's like
no mercy.
I'll go into a building and this security guard doesn't even know me. It's just a little box over here,
Right.
And I say, hi, it's Marty Kove, and they don't even say open the gate or they don't say come on in. They just go sweep the leg.
Sweep the leg.
The box,
Isn't that something you say one thing like that and it's like it just lives on, man.
Well, that and no mercy. I think, it's interesting. You hear no mercy a lot.
Mercy, too.
You can watch No Mercy on a war movie in the 50s and it means something else.
Right.
They say no mercy and they're charging ahead in the Korean War movie
right.
or something, Steel Helmet or any of these movies that I make note where they use the dialogue.
Right.
And, it has a different connotation.
Has a different connotation, yeah. Now, again, let's just start a little bit in the beginning. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn?
Yeah. I grew up in Crown Heights.
Crown Heights, Brooklyn. Now, how does a kid from Crown Heights, Brooklyn grow up and all of a sudden go, yeah, I want to be an actor? How does this happen?
It was the fourth grade, and it was PS 161 on Crown Street in Brooklyn.
Right.
And I did a play called The Golden Goose, and The Golden Goose was a guess. I just had a great time, and I said to myself, this is so much fun. And I just was in every play all the way through, junior high and high school, and never did much about it till I was like 20, And then I really took my little portfolio and went into the city.
Just like we all do, yeah.
And just worked in Lincoln Center and La Mama and a lot of places like that. And just eventually went out to California, like within about 7 years after doing a lot of stage work.
Yeah.
And I just never really looked back. I didn't have to take any other jobs.
Did you ever have to do another job?
Never did, no.
That's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
That is a miracle. I definitely had to do other jobs. That's a miracle. Wow.
It was interesting. But remember, in those days, in the 70s, you're guest starring on TV, and it was interesting, but it wasn't as fulfilling as doing some of the stuff you got to do. Some of the stuff you got to do with Bronx Tale and the writing and all. I tried writing because I'm a big Western proponent, and I bought a computer in 2001 to write a Western.
Wow.
I never had the discipline. It's like my life was too rich, and I never had the discipline to shut the rest of the world out and use my index cards and write something. The white paper would look right back at me and say, sorry, nothing.
It's a horrifying thing.
Yes.
To look at the paper and it's white and you look at it, and I totally understand that. When I do sometimes I'll go teach at Yale or places there for the screenwriting, and what I always tell them is, because they say, Chazz, Mr. Palminteri, how do you do it? How do you write? I go, listen, A writer writes. You just write. You have to discipline yourself. You have to sit down. You have to write it. Don't worry about if it's good or bad. Finish it. Finish the 100 pages. You're going to feel so good about it. You're going to feel so good about yourself. Then you go back and you start to rewrite. Nobody writes it and it's great. Nobody does that. You got to write it, then rewrite it. Writing is rewriting. And I try to tell these young screenwriters, and they go, well, they think there's a secret thing, And I go, no. See, as an actor, you're an actor. You got to show up on time. You got to know your lines.
Yeah.
As a director and as an actor, I got to show up on time. And I got to know when I'm going to be shooting. As a writer, you have nobody there to tell you to go write. No. As a writer, it's all you.
It's all discipline.
It's all discipline. That's why I have this office, and I come in here and I soundproof. I shut the door and I go, okay, time to write. And I put it in my head. Every time I'm writing something, I go, I'm making money. I'm making money. I keep saying that to myself. If this goes well, but I'm writing something from my heart, and I go, listen, who said this to me? If you want to be something you never were, you have to do something you never did. And it's just that simple. You got to do something.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You never worry, you do something you never did.
You're right.
It's really fascinating because I'm a good person to work with a writer because I have great ideas.
Yes.
And I can restructure, and I can pull from. We're doing a comic book, and a comic book it's a Western, 4 issues.
Right.
And I wanted something fresh, so I wanted an old gunfighter with a 12-year-old kid sharing moral values together, constantly
great.
Moral fiber back and forth because they're reluctant heroes together.
Right.
And what's fascinating is I was able to work with the writer, but the broad strokes. And I was able to pull out of the Searchers, pull out of Red River,
but
pull out of the Wild Bunch and say, this moment works.
Right.
This moment works. Let's integrate it, But to sit and do what you do, to come in this room, the white
harder.
Paper would just look right back at
It's
me
harder.
and say, die,
It's hard. Well, it's like this computer. You go, you know what? The person who made this computer, fuck, that was hard. But now once they've made it, you can look at it and go, I don't know about the apple over here. Let's put the apple over here. It's a little easier doing that. But if you could work with a writer, that's an art in itself. There's some actors, they give you notes and you go, why am I listening to this person? Then other actors who give you notes and you go, wow, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Because I learned something. One thing I learned from Robert De Niro, and I always bring up Bob because that was my first big movie, and I was so fortunate to do him. And he said, it takes just as much talent to recognize a great idea as it is to come up with it yourself. So if 8 people have ideas, and you take number 7's idea, you have the same amount of talent because you recognize that was a great idea.
Sure.
So it makes you feel like, hey, I'm talented too. But enough of that. I want to know. So, what was your first break?
I don't know. That
It's a mini
what is
breaks.
the break?
What is the break?
What is a break?
I don't know.
Guys call you. They come up to you and they say you're an icon. You're
Right.
a legend. What to me? The legends were Anthony Hopkins, Marlon Brando,
Absolutely.
Sean Connery,
Yes.
Peter O'Toole.
They
Those are
throw
legends.
those words around too easy.
People
yes.
throw this, and I don't think of myself as an icon. And then one day, I'm chatting with my friend, one who plays Johnny Lawrence on the show, but Billy Zabka is his name.
Yeah.
And we're outside the building in Atlanta. As we're shooting the show, and there's a fire drill, so everybody comes out of the building, and they don't know we live there. So we're really low key, and. They all come up and say, wow, I didn't know you legends, you icons live here in the building.
Right.
And I said to Billy, after they walked away, I said, I don't think of us as an icon.
No.
I don't think of us as legends. And he says, to this generation, we are
Yes.
icons.
Yes.
To our generation, it is the masters of
The
Brando,
masters.
John Garfield, Sean Connery,
Yeah.
David Niven.
Montgomery Clift.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
You
Yeah.
get, and all these...
So I do understand that. Yeah.
And so now, you break. What is a break? Was Cagney and Lacey a break? Doing a show with those 2 girls?
How long were you on Cagney and Lacey?
6 years.
All right, that's big.
Yeah,
You're on a hit
it's good.
show for 6 years. That was big, right?
Yeah, you canceled twice. You live
Right.
You live the good and the poor at the same time. but the work was great. The
Right.
issues were great. All
Right.
taken from the New York Times.
It's great.
It was wonderful. Right now, the show would be a massive hit. Back in 1982 to 88, it was a struggle. People weren't ready for two women detectives.
Now is a great idea for that.
No, it's great.
Well, look at what was that? Rizzoli and Isles. You
Yeah.
know, that was a pretty good.
I always enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I
So
always enjoyed it.
it's a. So okay, so that's like your first. Okay, I'm a really professional actor. I'm working regularly, and people are getting to know who you are.
Yeah.
So after Cagney and Lacey, did you find it a little rough? Was it easy after that, or
It was easier, but still, you're getting hired as the wise guy. You're getting hired as the tough guy.
as the cop?
And I always, I cried supermarket openings. I mean, I just, I'm the kind of guy who's a romantic, and I
Right.
want to do the stuff that Sean Connery did.
Right.
You want to do this stuff that later on Brando did, and yet you're typecast. So you do a movie.
Right.
While I'm doing Cagney and Lacey, I do this movie called Karate Kid, and I went there and auditioned and was given the script a day before and said, you have a whole week. And then the next morning they call and they say, John Avildsen wants to see you now, today. And I was just so angry. And my ex-wife says to me, you use, we were married at the time. She says, use the venom you feel
Right.
for these people now, for them not giving you the week to prepare.
Yeah.
So I go in there and I say to John Avildsen when I get in the meeting, I say, and it was a scene where I'm walking up and down in the dojo screaming, "Mercy is for the weak," here and on the street.
Right.
Right. So I want to get pumped up, and I go to John and I casting woman, and I say, John, we wait for years to meet directors of your caliber, and we fire our agents, we fire our managers, and finally I get to meet you, and you don't give me enough time with the script. You're an asshole, and so are you, Caro Jones. Mercy is for the weak, here and on the streets. And I go right up into the thing with the venom I'm feeling.
Yeah.
He loves it. Sends me to Jerry Weintraub. I do the same thing to Jerry. I abuse him, and I say, "Hey, man, you're 4 days late to this meeting. Where the fuck have you been?"
Yeah, right. Got the part.
And he will go right into it. Mercy is for the weak, here and on the street. Stops me halfway, sends me to the head of the studio. I get the part, and it just showed me that where the character was.
Right.
It showed me that the guy was so full of venom, and he was one-dimensional, but it was a great break because the movie was a big success.
Yeah.
But I always wanted to do the romantic.
Yeah, yes.
I wanted to
Everybody,
be
yeah.
Steve McQueen. You
Yes.
talk about those early days.
Yeah.
My first acting coach, I said to him, I think it was Peggy Fury out of Actor Studio, and I said, it was the late 70s, and I said, I really want to be like, you think you can give me that twinkle that Steve McQueen has? This is what I said, right?
Steve McQueen. I mean, wow. Wow.
It was the best. And he looked at me and he's, I don't know you. And he said, what you and I know, he says, I don't know if I could give it to you. I think you're going to have to work for it.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
And then probably 15 years later, I stopped trying to be Steve McQueen. And my agent said to me, you do Marty Kove. Do Marty Kove. Don't do Steve McQueen.
Yeah, there's only one Marty Kove.
And there's only one Steve McQueen.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And Steve McQueen had his limitations too. What he did was great. He was great. Don't get me wrong. Steve McQueen was a great actor, and what he did, him on that motorcycle, and you just look at him and you go, "Fucking movie star."
Right.
Fucking look at him. He's a movie star. He had that thing. He had that thing.
In the early days, even when he did The Blob, which was like before Magnificent Seven,
right?
And he was doing shtick,
right?
He was doing all this
right,
stuff.
So that's what I'm trying to say. So
Right.
it's the right person with the right script too, Marty.
Yeah, of course.
In all fairness, that if you would have got a great script like he did back then, you could have been Steve McQueen. Who the fuck knows?
Right. Exactly.
No question.
Exactly.
You're a really fucking great actor, a handsome guy. Why not?
It's
the material.
nature. That's what I tell my son. It
Yeah.
is the nature of the business to ride the roller coaster.
Right.
And just the way it is.
Wow.
Just the way it is.
So now your son. Now, okay. So let's talk for a second. We're in Gravesend together. Willem DeMeo series. You're in it, and your son's in it too, right?
Yeah.
Are you sharing the screen with him in something?
Yeah, we're both we're both rabbis working for the mob, and it's hysterical. And I have this big beard, and I have a video. It's hysterical, and I show it to people. They don't believe it,
Right.
but it's really wonderful and
Right.
written very well. And William DeMeo stars in this thing, and he's just, I think he wrote that episode.
Yeah.
And
Well, he does everything. He wrote it. He directed it.
he and I
Yeah.
did a movie together where we met, and Jesse was in it too. And he's just such an open, lovely guy, and he does
Yeah.
what we do. He puts his money where his mouth is.
Listen,
he goes
that's it.
and gets it done.
And gets it done.
Yeah, I love it.
Gets it done, and
Yeah.
that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Now, so Karate Kid happens. Now, if the Karate Kid was there, like, oh my God, we have to get him in this other thing and do the.
Not really. There was you walk into Rambo, so you walk into a role where I have more lines than Sly. I have 9. He has 9 lines in this movie. I speak more than he does. But I looked at this. This comes to me, and it's 85 pages of mayhem. That's what this script
Yes,
is.
yeah.
And I read it. And I said, I should follow Karate Kid with this. This will be another $100 million grosser.
Yeah.
So I take the time off Cagney and Lacey, and I go to Acapulco, and I go do this.
Yeah.
And it was a tense set, but we had a ball. And I knew him because we had the same German clockmaker named Kuno Spoonholtz in the early 70s as our manager. He would get Sly a job as an usher in the Baronet Theater
Right.
and get me a job as Santa Claus in Abraham Strauss.
Right.
These are the kind of jobs we
Right.
did
Right.
have
Right.
before we worked.
Yes, sure.
And so, we knew we're friends, and he says, "Come on and play." So I went there, and I did this Rambo thing, and then it exploded. And
Well, Sly's amazing, man. I mean, the man invented the sequel. I really mean it. People think, well, you think it's easy making a sequel? Go ahead, try it.
Right.
Well, I mean, Rambo and Rocky. Then at this age, he does Expendables.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
yeah, and the Tulsa King. It's kind of interesting. You watch the Tulsa
Yeah.
King, but he's got the help of Taylor Sheridan in there.
Great writer,
Who Taylor just resurrected the Western.
Yeah.
And thank God, and he's a wonderful writer. But Sly is such, as you know, such a funny guy.
Right.
He's a funny
Sly
guy.
is funny.
It's funny.
And Sly, let me tell you about Sly. And people go, they'll make fun and go, Adrian, one of the smartest guys in the business I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you. I know Sly. He's fucking brilliant. I did Oscar with him, and I asked him about, because I was going through the same thing that he went through with Rocky, with Bronx Tale, and he was just really nice and very supportive, very smart guy. I think he's a very
Very
smart guy.
smart. Very smart.
Now, okay, so you do Rambo. Now, where do you live now? Do you live in L.A.? Or?
I have a ranch in Tennessee.
A ranch.
Yeah, I've always wanted. I had 11 acres in Agoura.
Right.
I bought that in the 70s,
Right.
and then it burned down. I lost everything.
Right.
And then we moved into town and all that. And I always wanted to have a ranch again because I love horses and I love property. And so I bought a place about 2 years ago in Nashville.
Nashville.
And it's a gas. It's just 11 acres, and it's a lot of fun. And I've got a creek and a little Tuscany villa.
Wow.
And I've got an old barn, and it's great. It's just wonderful. And I'll have a couple of horses once we finish season 6 of Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Then I'll be able to spend more time back there. I'll have a couple of horses and just ride around the property and play cowboy.
Now, when they came to you with Cobra Kai, were you, I don't know, do I want to do this again? Or how did you feel about that?
It was pretty clear. I told them that I didn't want to play him one-dimensional. I did not want to play him the same way we did in the movie.
I think that's very smart, yes.
And I said, I need some vulnerability. I need some texture written
Of course.
emotionally.
Right.
And they said yes. What was really funny is they were on a podcast with my kids. I did a podcast called Kicking It with the Coves. And my son, Jesse, and daughter, Rachel. We had the guests, the writers' guests.
Right.
And they came in, and I never knew this. This is like 6 months ago. And they said, when we met you at Dan Tanner's and we offered you this role to come back, we were afraid because we were offering you to be in episode 10, season 1, to set up season 2. And we felt that you were going to ask exactly what you asked. Why can't you come in earlier? episode 5, episode 6, and we thought you were going to kick our ass at the restaurant. We were so intimidated because of what you did in Karate Kid 1.
Right.
We thought you would get really angry and take it out on us, that we were letting you, and they were serious. They were really serious, these guys. I cracked up. I thought it was hysterical that they held this information for 3-4 years, that they were so intimidated by me to invite me to come and play, but were really apprehensive about even having this meeting because they thought I'd get violent. It's just,
You know what? That's okay.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure people look at you on the street. People look at me. They're afraid to talk to us sometimes.
Yeah.
They get really intimidated. And you're a pussycat. And so am I.
Yeah.
I'm a nice guy.
yeah.
You know, they go, oh, everybody, they still thinks I'm in the mafia. I go, no, I'm not. I've never been arrested. I went to college. I'm not in the mafia. I play mafia guys. So, but they go, yeah, okay, Chazz. Yeah, we know. And the more I deny it, the more they keep thinking it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I do a podcast with Michael Francis. We do The Wise and the Wise Guy, which is a great podcast. Now, he's a legitimate mobster. That's a boss. He was a boss. But I do, you know, I always say, Michael is the wise guy. I'm not a wise guy. I'm an actor, you know. But same with you, man.
Yeah, you just, you know, people assume. I used to think that only happened in soap opera stars.
Yeah.
Where
Oh, yeah.
housewives truly believe that all those characters are those
real.
people. You know, and then, you know, and then I met a few, and it was amazing the respect I have for so many of the daytime actors that go to Broadway, that go do both.
Yeah.
It is just
work.
it's
work.
they're-
Now, do
they're
you
brilliant.
know any martial arts? Have you ever done it?
Well, we were going to do a movie called The Lion of Ireland, a story of Brian Boru, who was the first king of Ireland who united the tribes against the Vikings.
Right.
And this goes back to like 1180. So Morgan Llewellyn wrote a book, and we were all training. We were all doing a lot of kendo.
Right.
And we had a foundation of karate. And then that was about 2 months before Karate Kid.
Really?
And then that movie lost its tax incentive because Margaret Thatcher changed the laws in London.
Wow.
And boom. So I went in, but martial arts was never a prerequisite. Billy, who plays Johnny Lawrence, and Ralph Macchio, you know, none of us really were martial artists.
Right.
He had some wrestling background, and I had a couple of, you know, boxing bouts and things. I fought in Atlantic City. I fought Larry Holmes in a
Jesus.
3-round. Yeah. But I mean, it was useless. And after a round and a half, I'm on the ground
Right, of
doing
course.
splits and
Right.
trying to be a clown, you know,
Right.
because I couldn't even, no stamina. But you know, it was a celebrity thing. But the bottom line was, it was all about the work. If you were good, you got it.
Now, who else from the Karate Kid, the original, is in Cobra Kai?
Well, they Terry Silver is played in. He did Karate Kid 3,
Okay.
and Karate Kid 3 was literally a script written for my character, and I got a series called Hard Time on Planet Earth and couldn't do it.
Right.
So they rewrote it and created a character called Terry Silver,
Right.
who sends me on vacation, and he becomes the villain of Karate Kid 3.
Yeah.
And they brought Chosen back. Chosen is an ally of Ralph's, where he met him in Karate Kid 2.
Right.
And let's see, then they've brought back Robin Lively, who
Right.
is the love affair from
Right.
2 and 3, and and they brought back Elizabeth Shue, who was the love affair from Karate Kid 1.
Yes, Elizabeth Shue. God,
Yeah,
yes.
and she was. Well, we all were so in love with her.
Oh my God,
Oh, my
Elizabeth
God.
Shue. Yes, great.
And let's see
Wow,
who else.
that's great. Now
lot.
I know Ralph. I met Ralph a bunch of times, and he said he's going to come on the show. I got to get him on the show. It's too bad we couldn't get you guys together. It would have been great. But I'm going to get Ralph. Ralph is going to come on the show.
He came. His daughter came on, and he came on to our podcast, and it was great.
Yeah.
you know.
No, he's great.
He's a
Nice kid.
good guy. He's a
That
veteran
kid.
like us. He's like
I call him a kid.
he's like us.
Yeah. So now you're in here. Oh, you came in for our cigar night and
Yeah.
to do the podcast, And you had fun last night at the cigar night?
I had a lot of fun. You know, the people were great. It was like, I felt like, what was that? It was like in The Offer, where there's the meeting. It was like, I love The Offer, by the way. I just think, I think every actor should watch The Offer to get the tenacity of Al Ruddy, to learn about that.
I knew Al Ruddy. He wanted to do Bronx Tale. You knew Al Ruddy.
Yeah, sure.
I knew Bob Evans real good.
Oh, really?
Real good. And he was just like that.
But he steals the show, the guy who plays.
Steals the show.
It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
But I tell kids, whenever they come up, can you impart something on, give me some advice, Mr. Kove, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I tell them, just watch the 8 episodes of The Offer.
Yes.
Because whenever...
Tenacity.
Whenever some producer or a casting person tells you you're not good enough, just remember, it's their mistake.
Right.
It's their mistake not to hire you.
Yes.
They just...
he did not want Al Pacino. I mean, Al told me when I worked with Al, he said, no, they wanted me out. And he knew it. And then it was Francis' idea for them to do the killing scene. He thought that would be show that he has balls. And when they did that, then they turned to Francis and said, all right, I think he can do it.
But what is Gulf and Western, what those corporate guys really know?
Right.
They thought everything, that every movie should be made $100 million, like Love Story.
Right.
Everything will make $100 million. That's why we're on the corporate board.
Right.
Please.
Please. Right.
It's kind of like, and this is what he was up against in the early 70s.
Right.
People saying, and I remember characters like, it was the casting fellow, Lou DiGiamo.
I
I was always in front of him for something.
Louis DiGiamo.
And Andre Eastman. I remember her.
And Bonnie Timmerman.
Yeah, Bonnie Oh, God, yes.
Yes.
And so I'm watching the show. And I'm looking, and these names are coming at me.
Right.
And I went out with Al's wife, Francoise Ruddy. I went out with her, and this is after she got divorced. So it was 1975. We had done Est together.
Right.
And all of a sudden, her name comes up. Francoise, where do I know this woman? And then I put all the pieces together, and I said, I know all these people.
Right.
This is really
it's real,
in my early days in New York.
Yeah. Al Ruddy was a classic producer.
Oh, yeah.
Classic. I was in the bathroom. He probably don't remember. Al's 92 now. I was in a bathroom at the Palm in L.A. on Rodeo Drive, and I'm in the urinal, and he comes right next to me. He doesn't remember. He goes, "Oh my God, I know everybody's trying to get your thing, Bronx Tale." And it's hard to talk when you're taking a pee, And I go, "Yes, you got to come. I'm coming to I want you to come to my office. Checkbook. I got an open checkbook. We're gonna make this movie." And I'm like this. I said, "Okay." I never forgot that. Never.
Well, the Yogi didn't turn into you.
No, I'm glad it didn't. I'm glad it didn't turn into me. No, that would have been not good.
That was an old Charlie Bronson story about that, but we won't go there. But the cat is just, what the epitome of every actor should deal with.
Yes.
It's just what he did to make that movie.
Notorious.
But you think about it, not only was it a good movie, The Godfather, but it became the classic.
Yeah.
The classic.
It's a classic.
Classic.
And 2 is probably just as good as 1. I don't know. Some people think 2's better. So that's one of those rare things that, let's face it, Karate Kid 1 was the best.
Yeah.
Bronx Tale was the best. I can't make 2 because I just don't feel it. I never wanted to because they go, "Gee, find out what happened to the kid." I go, "What happened to the kid? The kid became famous. That's me. What's so fucking exciting about that?" Bronx Tale 1 is the one. That's the one. From me until 18, It's always the first one.
Yeah.
Except
always.
The Godfather. Except The Godfather.
And even the Rockies,
Oh, the Rockies, but they held up.
They held up better, but still one.
Oh, one
is raw.
Raw.
One is raw.
First Blood.
It's like, First Blood. First Blood is an excellent movie.
Yes.
Rambo is Rambo. It's first of its kind, one man against the world.
Right.
Then you had Commando and all the Chuck Norris movies.
Right.
Of the 80s. But Rocky was raw. First Blood was raw.
Raw.
Real. Brian Dennehy, brilliant.
Brilliant actor.
Brilliant.
Yeah. You ever see? I got to see him in Death of a Salesman.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. I saw it too.
Great.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah. I mean, one thing about Sly, he puts great actors around him. So
Yeah, he does.
I mean, and it's such a pleasure to have you here, Marty. I mean, really, my son's pissed off at me because he fucking loves you. He goes, Dad, you don't understand. I want to see that. I said, Dante, there's nothing I could do. He goes, when you see him, tell him, sweep the leg. I go, yeah, he's never heard that before. I go, that's like somebody telling you to tell me, now you can't leave. I mean, come on. But I got to have you back on the show. It's really good.
Sure.
So what do you got coming? You got
Well, I'm
Cobra
doing.
Kai.
Well, my son and I were doing this. It's very funny. It's sort of a Tarantino-esque movie, and it's really interesting.
Did you write it and you directed it?
I didn't write it. No, it came to us, and it was fascinating. It's called Mary Sue Must Die, and it's a story of it's a real spoof. It's a satire on the senator's daughter who's in the way, and she's got to be handled by me, who's the corporate head of assassins around the world. And I want to tell you, she defeats all my assassins that are on my list, and then she defeats me. And Jesse is hysterical. My son,
Right.
we've done a lot of movies together.
Right.
And he has a scene where he gets shot in the stomach, pulls out the book. This is to die. This is right out of a
So did you
Tarantino.
finish the movie?
Yeah, we finished the movie.
Oh, so
2
tell us
weeks
about
ago.
it. What is the name of the movie?
It's, that movie is called Mary Sue Must Die.
Mary Sue must
Mary Sue
Mary Sue must,
Must
die,
Die.
folks. Listen
Mary
to
Sue
that.
Must Die. And
Right.
then I went right directly into this other movie that John Avildsen, his son Ash Avildsen, wrote and directed.
Right.
And it's about Mildred Burke, the first female wrestler.
Right.
It's called The Queen of the Ring.
Right.
And we're shooting it now. I have to go back and do it again in
Right.
in Louisville. And it's wonderful. It's with
Great.
it's with Josh Lucas. And,
Oh, I love Josh
Dermot
Lucas.
Maroney. And
Yes, oh, those are great actors. Great.
Wonderful stuff. And, it's all good stuff, but the Western I'm going to do with my son, and there's interest out of Sony.
Right.
And I'm trying to launch this other project, which is all about Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday before Tombstone. And these people who wrote Tombstone.
Wow.
And so Jesse, there's not even a part in there. I'm going to just narrate. But
Right.
Jesse will play Wyatt Earp.
Your son.
Yeah, my
Oh,
son.
well, he's big,
Yeah.
tall, handsome guy. I saw him.
Yeah, I just want to resurrect the Western.
Right.
Taylor Sheridan is step one. I'm trying to do step two.
Listen, I want to be in a Western, Marty.
All right.
I do.
Well, we know you're a killer, so it's good. I mean, you got turkeys and
You
bears.
know what movies I love? I love For a Few Dollars More.
Oh.
All the Franco Nero. They're all Italian, those guys.
Oh, I have to tell you this one story. I was a Sergio Leone fan, major fan.
Big fan.
Yeah, I just played the music all the time in the car and everything. And so I'm at the Martinez, and I hear that he's there. So I go to see him, and I'm chatting with him at Cannes.
Right.
And I talked to him about the cigarillo, and I talked to him about the serape and the hat, and I say, well, is that Clint's idea, or was it your idea, the serape? All this. And I knew everything about his movie. And here he had his brother-in-law, who's big, overweight guy, translating for him.
Right.
He didn't speak very good English. 6 months later, I hear he's at the Chateau Marmont, and he's interviewing Once Upon a Time in America.
Yes.
So I go up there. My agent gets me an interview, and I go up there, and I learn Italian. It's fluent Italian. Do you remember me? We met in Cannes. And so I go to the meeting, and I know it all. And there he is, sitting in the Chateau Marmont with his brother-in-law, his overweight brother-in-law, translating.
Yeah.
And I sit with him, and I said, duo, and I say it, in Italian. Perfect. Do you remember me? We met in Cannes. And he goes like this in perfect English. Do I remember you? You're the boy who knows more about my Westerns than me.
Wow. Wow.
And I just died. It didn't
That's
matter if I
great.
got the part. And De Niro got it because it was Noodles I was up for.
Noodles. Oh, wow.
So it didn't matter because he remembered.
He remembered you.
Marty Kove from
Marty
6
Kove.
months earlier. And
It's a
my
big thing to
admiration.
remember. Yeah,
oh,
that's great.
God, yes,
Right.
it was wonderful. But I love those movies. And,
Right.
I mean, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and all that. It was just wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, Clint is
It's great.
Clint. Well, Marty, thank you so much for being here. And I wish you much success on your movies.
Thank you.
And we got to have you back. And that's it, folks. This is the end of Don't forget our episode next Monday at 11 o'clock. Tune in. I got some big announcements to make next Monday, in fact. Don't forget our cigar, the Bronx Tail cigar, okay? You got to come and pick it up. We're going to come out. You smoked our cigars, right?
Oh, wonderful.
Great. You're a big cigar smoker, right?
I am a big cigar smoker. They create a relaxation for me that's I can read. I wish I could write.
Right.
I wish the cigar would translate into writing.
Yes, we went partners with Epic. A big cigar, big announcements coming in the next few weeks. Don't forget my website, ChazzPalminteri.net. All right, you know what? It's unbelievable. We were talking, Marty was talking about his son, and it just so happens his son walked by. No, he's here. He came in with Marty from Nashville, and I said, get him on. Let's get him on the show. So this is Jesse Kove. Jesse, how are you?
I'm great. Flew in just for this.
You flew in just for this.
Landed in the back of the house.
You land now. You guys, like you were saying, Marty, you're doing this movie with you and Jesse. Wait, but you're both in Gravesend.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you both play
We're Hasidic Jewish mafia in the
Hasidic Jewish mafia.
Yes.
Well, they are. They have their own mafia. Is that all right to say that? I could say that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just facts. They do.
This is
Everybody's
fact.
got
We
their own
work
mafia.
together. We work together with Italians in the movie.
Right.
And it's very funny.
Now, how do you like working with your dad?
I love working with my dad. We always have a great time. We're very much like you had explained to me with your son. Like you kind of want the best for each other. So you're always like
course.
looking out for each other.
Yes.
I want the best for him. He wants the best for me. So
Right.
even if I'm on set with him, like whether he's working on something I'm watching or if I'm working on something,
Right.
I'll always like come up to him, maybe whisper something in his ear, or tell him, give him a note about something, or
Right.
I'll look to him and say like, "Is that good?" And then
Right. My son and I do the same thing. We do the
love
same
that.
thing because you trust each other. You could talk to each other, and it's like it's a bond. It's a father-son. Now, did you always want to be an actor?
He never pushed me in the industry at all. When I grew up, I started naturally just making movies with like my dad's camera. I would steal it and make movies.
Right.
And then I would do I'd pretend to be like a magician in front of the family. So I was always performing and making my mom laugh.
Right.
My mother loved to laugh at my jokes and accents.
Right.
So then during high school, and I started going to like the performing arts classes and doing plays. And,
Right.
And that's
Okay.
how it kind of all started.
And do you feel like this is something you want to do forever?
I love it. Every time, whenever I'm working on a film set or if I'm doing a play or series, I'm always my happiest. It's just I love doing it. It never feels like work. It is work, as you know.
Yes.
But it's never like I don't feel like
well,
it's,
you know what they
it's
say,
labor.
find your passion.
Yes.
If you find your passion in life and you get really good at it, then your passion becomes your vocation. It's like a vacation. That's really that's to me. I never work. I don't work. I never worked in 40 years. I write. I direct. I produce. That's not working to me. You work hard, but you're not working.
Yes.
Because I love doing it.
Same.
Now your dad's a big Western person.
Yes.
Are you a Western person too?
I love westerns. Love them. We
Well,
just finished one together actually. That's
Well,
coming
that's
out
right.
in
He was
September.
talking, and the name of the Western is again.
It's called Farhaven, directed by Gary Wheeler.
Wow.
But one more thing I was going to say, you were talking about all this stuff. It's never worked the passion. I also have, like you, I know you do, I know he does too, a lot of gratitude. Like if ever I'm on set,
Big time.
I did an episode of Magnum PI
Right.
in Hawaii a month ago,
Right.
and every time, I'll be sitting on the plane. You get flown first class, and
Right.
I'm sitting on the plane. I just sit to myself and I'll literally say thank you quietly to myself. Or I'm on set and I'll look up and I'll say thank you, whoever's listening, God, whoever's there. Because I'm just always grateful for those opportunities that I have.
And you know what? That's why you'll be successful. That's why you are successful. Always be grateful.
Thank you.
Always be grateful. Every morning I wake up and I do the grateful flow. 5 things I'm grateful for. And then each day I do different things. And you know what? We're just renting here. We're
Right.
renting space on Earth. That's all this is. And so it's how you treat other people and how you give back and what you leave behind is really all that matters. It might be an idealistic way of looking at life, but it's the way I feel. What do we have? There's only 2 things you could leave behind. Really, if you think about it, art and children.
Right. It's
Nothing
true.
else. Nothing else. I want to leave good art and I want to leave good children. That's it. After that, money, that doesn't mean nothing. Fame, that goes.
Chazz promised us a couple of these posters, by the way, that we
Yes,
can take
yes.
when he's gone.
No,
so
I mean,
appreciate
I
that.
go to my son, I go to my daughter. as kids, I'll say, yeah, James Cagney. They go, who's James Cagney? Who's James Cagney? You don't know James Cagney? Oh, Dad, I don't know. I mean, if they could forget James Cagney, they could forget us. So it's okay. You know what I mean? So I say, do the best you can here and leave something good behind. And I mean, I think and the love between, I know the daughters get pissed at me when I say this, but there's a special love, a bond between a father and son. It's a different love between a father and a daughter, and a mother and a daughter, and a mother and a son. It's like a different.
Yeah.
It's a different.
There's certain
feeling.
characteristics and that's nothing to do with man or woman. But I think as men, there's like an archaic kind of.
Yes.
We like to put armor on and get
Yes.
out and show no emotion, and we go to battle, and that's like provide. We like to provide for our family. Not that women can't do that or don't.
No,
but that's like ingrained in us. Always from like when we were kids and with fathers and sons,
no
especially.
Question. No question. It's like my son will say, my daughter will say, Daddy, I know it's late. Could you pick me up? Where are you, honey? All right, I'll be right there. All right, I'll come and get you. The girls are partying here, and I feel like honey, where are you? Okay, I'll come. My son will call me. I go, what's up? What? Come on. You're a big boy now. You could do it.
Walk home.
Just get a fucking Uber and and come home.
No, you can't use my credit card.
My daughter's like, where you got to, whatever I got to do. My son is like, come on, man up. You could do this. But it's a different thing. But
because we want everything. We always want to like make everything so nice and easy and wonderful for like the women in our lives or the ones we love. Or,
yes.
to keep it nice and soft.
Now, are you married?
I'm not, but I have a beautiful relationship and I've got dogs and very
that's
happy.
Great. Do you live in L.A.?
I do.
Okay. Do you have an agent with you?
I do. I have an agent manager. We have the same manager. I have an amazing team behind me. I'm very, very happy with Rachel Sheedy's my agent.
Good. No, it's great. I'm glad we got you on the show. You're a tall, young, handsome guy, and you look like you can bang around a few heads. And I think you'll have a great career ahead of you.
You're just looking in the mirror, man.
No. I think you're going to be able to. I think you're going to be able to do all right. And I always tell young people, I say. They say, what's the secret to success? And I tell them all the time, I go, be good at what you do and be well liked. If you can do that, you'll be successful. Because they can't stop you. Because if you're so good and you're so well liked, people will want to put you in their movie. They'll say, you know what? I want to be around that guy. He's such a good guy and he's so fucking right for this part. Let's get him in the movie.
I love that he said that because I'm not even kidding you. I try to leave wherever I am, every set or movie, like you just said. I want them to remember you and I want to work with that guy again. He was funny. He was fun. We had a great time. Like who doesn't want to work with people that you love and have fun?
Life's too short.
Yeah,
life's too short.
There was Jesse just before we came to New York. He sent me a poster of the Western we did.
Right.
And it did not have. It had Bruce Boxleitner. It had myself, A. Martinez. It did not have Jesse on the poster.
Right.
And he said, Daddy, don't you think I should be in the poster?
I said, Dad.
Yeah, I said, Dad.
My son goes that too. My son says the same thing. He goes, Dad, it's Dad. I don't say Daddy. Go ahead.
So I said, I think you should be in the poster. So I call up the producer. And I call up the director and I say, you're making a big mistake here. You're a family network and it's a family concept that we work together.
From a marketing standpoint, which was
I know. I'm telling the story. Yeah. So I said this and they agreed. The producer, it's a Western network and it's all about family. And I said, utilize it. Put the kid in the poster because we can talk about it on talk shows. We can talk about it in promotion. And the director says, you're absolutely right. And then the producer called me, runs the network, and said, Marty, what is it? And I told him the same story. And he says, give me 2 weeks. I'm going to get our promotion department on it, and we'll have Jesse on the bottom of the poster because he does all the action in the piece.
Right.
But it's because they liked him.
Right.
If I was trying to talk about someone who was a neurotic,
or if they didn't like him, had a bad feeling about
never
him,
would.
Forget it.
Marty, sorry.
Have you ever worked with art? I'm sure you have. You've had to work with artists who are somewhat annoying to be around, but brilliant as artists.
Yes.
It's like the weirdest dichotomy. That's annoying.
Yeah, that's when you bite the bullet and go, I got to deal with this idiot for 4 weeks, but I'm going to do the best I can. And then you just be nice to him and you deal with his bullshit. But it's only 4 weeks. You get the performance on the screen. After 4 weeks, you go, okay. A series, no, I wouldn't deal with it for a series. A movie, I'll deal with the guy. If he's that brilliant and that perfect, I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it. But hey, man, it was great to have you stop by.
Thank you.
Jesse,
Such an honor.
you got a big
really.
career ahead of you. You got a great father there. It's nice to see father-son like this. It makes my heart feel good.
Dad, I need $20 for gas.
Yeah.
No, your index cards. Check your index cards.
Check the index card. God bless you. See you next week.